Well, good morning. Welcome to this devotion for Tuesday, November the 3rd. I want to remind you today to be praying for Johnny Arbogast. Also, I hope you have voted. If you haven't, certainly encourage you to go do so. Would ask you to be praying about things with the election today, but we need to be praying well past the election. There's probably some very real threats that have been made by people of things they will do if their candidate does not win, and we just want to pray for safety and for well-being. Today we're looking at 1 Kings, interestingly enough, looking about leaders, and we're voting for our leader. Back in this day, they didn't get to do that. But David is dying, and so he calls Solomon, his son, to him to give him some instructions. This is kind of a lengthy chapter, and I'll be perfectly honest with you, I am very grateful the first 4 verses are there. Because when I think about if the time were to come that I would be laying on my deathbed and could say things to my children, my spouse, anybody, I really wouldn't want to be saying the things that David says from verse 5 on, get this one, get that one, because as you go on and read the rest of the chapter, it's about execution and things like that. I thought Matt made a really good point in yesterday's devotion, where he talked about in the Old Testament, in these character stories, you kind of see the good, bad, and ugly. And just because somebody does something does not mean that God is endorsing it. It is the reality of what has happened. Now, maybe it was the Lord's will for these people to be taken out. I don't know, but I don't want to be laying, on my deathbed and looking at my girls or my family and say, hey, I want you to get revenge on this person. Thank God we live under this covenant of forgiveness. But these first 4 verses, they are so powerful, because David starts off by telling, basically is what he's saying to Solomon, Solomon, follow the Lord. Follow the Lord. Verse 3, he says, and keep the charge of the Lord your God, to walk a lifestyle, walk in his ways, and then keep. And he uses 4 different Hebrew words: statutes, commandments, judgments, and testimonies, that you may prosper in all that you do. I don't know if you've ever thought about if your family were to be gathered around you, or you knew your days were short, and you might be having the last conversation with your family or something like that. Have you ever thought about what you would tell them? I certainly hope that my words would be to tell them how much I loved them and appreciate them. But I certainly hope one more time I would encourage them to walk in the ways of the Lord. Follow the Lord. In doing so, your way will prosper, because God's word works. But I realize you can't just wait to the end to say these things. Hopefully, what you say at that time, if you have an opportunity to do it, will be what you've been saying all of your life. And I just want us to think about this today. Now, you may not even have children, or you may say, well, my children are grown, or my grandchildren are grown. But we really do have influence on people. We do. And someday we're all going to die. And what type of legacy is it that you want to leave? How is it you want to be remembered? And if you want to be remembered as somebody who has passed on godly values, then we need to seek to walk in God's ways day by day. As Paul challenged us on Sunday in his message, to cling to the ways of the Lord and not the ways of the earth. We have to raise our children to be responsible in so many ways. There's so many things to have to take care of in this world. But I want to challenge you this. If you have children at home, or if you have influence over your grandchildren, The church can't raise them in the ways of God for you. You've got to take that responsibility. Those children need to hear you pray for them. They need to hear you tell them these are God's ways, and we choose to walk in the ways of the Lord. If you've never done that, I strongly hope that you will recognize your responsibility. God has given you those children. And again, you may not even have any children, but God somehow has given you the influence over a child's life. We have influence over other people. So be it a child or be it somebody else, that people, when they think of you, would think of you as somebody who is charging them to keep the ways of God, to walk in his ways, keep his statutes, his commandments, his judgment, his testimonies, that you may prosper in all that you do. You know, when I pass, I'd like to be known as somebody who sought to walk in the ways of the Lord. But we walk one day at a time. I want to encourage you to choose one day at a time to walk in the ways of the Lord. Hey, God bless you.